Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to another Spiritual Rockstar Podcast show. I have a top expert. Truly, this is no smoke whatsoever. This is a top expert in the field of high-level coaching, life coaching, and more. I've got an amazing guest today. She's filled with amazing heart coherence and love, and she's just like one of those people who just wants to love everybody and give to everybody and sort of thing. Yet she's got the steel enough to know when to say no too. So, but yeah, I'm just saying she's very generous. She's very giving. She wants to give you everything you can to take your life and your entire life. And if you want to learn how to be a high level coach, to help you to start being an even more high level coach than ever before. I know you're all looking for more confidence with coaching. Most of you, right? So almost every single one of you would love to learn more about that. So Julie, I'm just so grateful to have you here today.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for the beautiful, warm intro. And I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all week. So can't wait. Let's dive in.
Cool. Yeah, I'm so excited. Julie Reisler is a transformational expert. She is a board certified master life and wellness coach and was voted top 10 most influential life coaches in 2023. Well, it's the time of this recording. That's this year, not some other year. Okay, so that's recent. Okay, Julie is the host of the Youest You podcast, a global show in over 175 countries, and the author of Get a PhD in You, an Amazon top pick. Julie has been featured in Forbes, Mind Body Green, the Chopra Center, Bustle, and Thrive Global for her work as a coach, teacher, and conscious business leader. Julie is a multi-time TEDx speaker and has spoken on stages throughout North America. She is also a popular course creator on Insight Timer, the #1 ranked mindfulness app. Julie holds a master's degree in health and wellness coaching. She actually has a master's in health and wellness coaching. You don't see that every day, much less from Maryland University of Integrative Health, and is a professor at Georgetown University in their coaching program. Julie is the founder of the Life Designer Coach Academy, a leading edge certification program where she certifies spiritual life coaches worldwide. And so, Julie, just so grateful to have you here. I can't wait to hear what you got to share. I'm like, what kind of lesson you got for us today, teacher? Or going to class. And I know you're humble about it, but yeah, really, I'm looking forward to this. So one of the things, of course, that I'm always curious about with our guests is what took you down this pathway to actually go get a master's in life coaching and now, teaching other people to be high level coaches.
It's a really good question. I remember asking myself, like, Julie, what are you doing? So I think, way back when, however many years ago, when I went to college, I did major in psychology and public health. And I wasn't sure. I didn't know that I didn't want to necessarily be a therapist. So I ended up working in nonprofit and in the corporate world. And it actually was, I did a lot of deep inner work in my mid 20s. I just hit a rock bottom for me. For many of us, there are different ways that we numb out. For me, my addiction was actually in like sugar and food. And I really hit a bottom in my 20s and found myself in recovery and working with people around just doing that inner excavation work. And it was actually a program I did, a really powerful, transformative program where I ended up having a coach there. This is over, 15 years ago, I would say. And this coach that I worked with, it was just a game changer. I'd never experienced anything like this. And I love therapists, and it's different. I'd been in therapy sponsors. I mean, I'd been working with a lot of different kind of healing modalities, and I'd never had this experience before. So after that, I thought, okay, what is this? So I ended up coaching in this program, more of a leadership development program. I coached 3 of them, and then decided as I was having a bit of a well, I don't know, midlife, but definitely a bit of a like, wow, let's just shake it up. Let's just shake everything up in my life. And was going through a really, really challenging time. And both in the, I thank you, Gwyneth Paltrow, for coining the conscious uncoupling, aka divorcing my husband, my former husband, and I had 2 young kids, and I was in my job thinking like I liked it, but I did not love it. I was grateful for it. And I found this program that had it was a certification in health and wellness coaching. And it ended up that they started a master's degree program at this university, brick and mortar. They have acupuncture and herbal medicine and nutrition, all kinds of programs. And I fell hard. I fell in love with this program. It was a 2-year intensive, holistic based program that had us look at mind body science and the understanding the nervous system and just things that I had been experiencing but didn't realize how important this is in the modality of coaching. So that was 10 years ago. I got my degree and ended up leaving my corporate day job, single mom at the time, leaving benefits, leaving, I don't know how cushy it was, but it was a paycheck. I was grateful for it. Um, a lot of free salads. I worked with Panera for the largest franchise. I did recruiting for them and other work for them. And I just decided I have to pursue this work. It literally changed my life. The coach I worked with, this type of work to me was so profound, so healing. And it wasn't as well known at the time, Daniel. So I remember people were like, what are you coaching? Are you going to coach like girls volleyball? Like, what are you coaching soccer? Like, what are you coaching? I was like, no, I'm coaching people in their life. And it turns out it's really grown and blossomed. And the reason I believe is because it works. It's such a powerful healing modality. So, I come by it really naturally. I still work with a coach. Yeah, I can share more. It's just, it's one of the most transformative experiences I had. And I thought people have got to experience this because we are walking around often thinking that this is the way it is, that, life is the way it is and it has to stay this way. And I'm a big believer, we have free will. We are incredibly dynamic, powerful, incredible beings, and we have the ability to change anything at any time. But it's hard to do yourself. And so that's my story.
Well,
I'll stick to it.
okay. Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today. Okay, great. So basically, I mean, like if I were to intuitively tune into what you said is you didn't say these words, but you had certain, my vibe is you had certain insecurities and things that were particularly heavy, maybe, and that led you into certain maybe addictions or, getting sticky with certain things. You said, mentioned the sugar and stuff, right? And interesting, then you're hooked up with Panera with all the salads at the same time, or later maybe, but
Yeah.
and got into that. I thought that was fascinating. But that you had those feelings, and perhaps, this is just an intuitive guess, but this is so common for other people, and why people would want to work with you too, is the feelings of insecurity, and maybe I'm not worth it, maybe I'm not enough, all those kind of, commonplace kind of feelings. And yeah, that, the help you got, apparently whatever was going on before, my vibe is like, yeah, I felt maybe a little bit better here and there, right? But it didn't break you through. You still saying, kind of went back to the same wheel, maybe a little bit better, but it's what it feels like. And then when you got this more powerful, higher level coaching, or this higher level help for you, it was like sort of like this revolutionary thing. Like, oh my God, like I actually I'm breaking through. Like I feel like I can actually start really feeling like real freedom. And that's what it felt like when you were talking. Like, is that kind of accurate? Or you want to add it to that a bit, or that's how it felt?
Yeah, yeah, I love the like intuitive connection with that. Yeah, so I think, I'd had a lot of great shift in recovery in 12-step world with therapy. I did. However, I looked at it as like an excavation process. I love what you said, that freedom that, it was, so one of the things about coaching is, our brain is a serial processor. So it's going to focus on one thing. When you ask questions, you literally can unlock things in your conscious and unconscious by the questions that are asked. This is really powerful. And so the question that this coach, he asked me a lot of questions, but it was this one question, and it had my brain. It felt like I did this like chiropractic realignment in my energy and in my brain, because the power of the question can make all the difference. When you're asked a question you've never thought about it before, literally immediately your brain goes to seek, well, what, I don't know where that would be. So we can get new answers. We can unlock parts of ourselves we don't even know are there. And that is what happened with a very simple question I had not considered. And I thought, oh my gosh, like that was just the tip of the iceberg. But that was the moment that I realized, oh my God, I just felt freedom. Like you said, I really did. Yeah.
I remember the gold rush time of coaching. I mean, I wasn't one of the very first forerunners in the field, so to speak. I actually am from counseling. I'm one of those people, some coaches will be like, you're not even a coach because you didn't really get a certification or anything like that. I'm one of those people because I was just like, well, I'm at my church. I'm trained to listen to people and guide them and then do prayer. I have a master's in counseling. I've done some training and coaching. I don't know if I need a full certification. Maybe I could do it, but I didn't really feel like it was needed, quite frankly. And I did other sorts. I did sort of some coaching, like I did very, very little though, like passion test facilitation isn't really coaching, but like whatever. I did different trainings and stuff. And I just never really felt like I needed it. But I always remember the conversation in the early days was really heavy on what's the difference between counseling and coaching. The people would talk about that all the time. And, just to make a long story short, and you can jump in there too with your perspective if we want to talk about it. But like, it was like, well, counseling is for people, I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong, you would know better than I do, given your studies and being a professor and everything. But counseling is more for people who have deeper problems, is sort of what it amounted to. And you use certain processes that maybe you wouldn't, use in coaching. You're delving in certain ways. There's different. Whereas coaching is you just people are tend to be higher functioning, that they don't have a mental health diagnosis necessarily, or like a major depression or something necessarily, or whatever. But I've always kind of questioned, and then you're asking these questions, you're just guiding them. And I don't know, I always kind of question it a little bit, because I think there are some distinctions, but honestly, like, are you helping the people? Are you helping them to make a change? I mean, there's coaches that could totally break loose people with all kinds of backgrounds. And yes, we could always refer to psychiatrists, doctors, counselors for whatever, right? If they have medical issues, they have psychiatric issues, whatever. But we also, like, there are some cases where no matter what it could be all kinds of different situations where we might be able to help them still with coaching, like, even if it's medical sometimes, even though we always have to say consult a doctor, right? But like, or maybe they see a counselor, but all of a sudden they see you and all of a sudden they're done with their counseling, right? Or whatever. But that's what a high level, coach, in my opinion, is capable of doing that. So I'd love for you to tease that out a little bit for us. Like, what's the
Sure.
difference between like the coaching, like this high level coaching,
Yeah.
and like counseling, for example?
Yeah. No, it's great. And I'll just kind of piggyback on what you said. I think
Yeah.
you set the stage really well. I mean, so one of the things that's a little different, counseling. So counseling, typically you really dig into the past. I mean, you're looking at past traumas, past challenges, situations, and you're trying to make sense of it, understand it, heal it, put it up to the light, be with it, right? It's a lot of looking at the past to understand it, to move through it. Coaching will dabble in the past, but we don't really hang out there. It's more, let's see, what are we going to harvest from the past? What are we going to learn from it? What can you take from the past that is going to bring you to the present? Because what we're doing is we're in the present creating your ideal future, your soulful, your heart-led future. So I always say coaching is a little bit more present and future focused with a little hanging out in the past every now and then. I believe, I mean, having been to therapists, best friend is a psychotherapist, we've talked about this a lot. You're really doing a lot more of that unraveling if there's trauma, if there's other work. So it can come up in coaching. What I say is actually, I think coaching and counseling pair beautifully. I think, I mean, a lot of my clients have therapists as well, counselors as well. It's kind of like PB and J. I don't think you'd want a sandwich with just J or just the PB. Like you want both. So I think everybody's different. Not everyone wants or needs both. And there are different times in your life. You may, I can tell you when I, after having my two children back to back and not realizing I was experiencing postpartum, depression, but didn't show up as typical depression. It was more anxiety and it affected my health. And, having a therapist was really helpful at that point. Ended up working with a coach soon after. Like it's so, and I've had it where I've worked with both at the same time. They're different though. And it's kind of like you might go to a myofascial release or massage, a masseuse, right? It's different than an acupuncturist, both great, just different modalities. The other thing I would say is I've certainly coached people that might have mental health issues. And when we're working together, usually they'll share with me, hey, just so you know, I am seeing a therapist or a psychotherapist. I struggle with depression or with anxiety or whatever that is, or bipolar. And I'm like, great. All right, that's great to know. Let's look at what are some of the lessons from that, the gifts from that. What are you taking away from that? Let's look at now and what does your heart want to create? What do you feel like your greater purposes in your career, in your, well-being with your relationships. So, in my book, I have a well-being wheel. I was trained from that integrative perspective. And for me, I was also trained actually to work with people that have health issues, health concerns, weight, food, uh, health, anything in that realm. I tend to do more of a all
Mm.
life purpose, but so that there's a lot of different types of coaches, but I think that main distinction is present to future is the main place we're focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all coming back to me. I haven't been in those conversations in a while, but it
Yeah,
just came back to me because you're talking about back then, like nobody knew what coaches were and
right.
everything. And then there was a gold rush to me. Like it was relatively easy to find new clients and whatnot. Back in the day in terms of marketing, like it was easy. Just if you knew anything about marketing, like you could get a lot of response, very easily at the time. And but if that's not everybody's experience now, hey, that's an opportunity too. And you get to deepen your alignment, maybe learn more about marketing if you need to, but a lot of it's alignment to me. It's less marketing than it is the alignment, right? But that's a whole nother subject. I wanted to talk, a lot of questions I ask, quite frankly, I ask because I'm interested in it. And I just figure that our audience is also interested in it and finds this to be helpful. There's also my background in hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and you talked about like how a question can just unravel something in someone's subconscious, right? And because I've always been fascinated that I used to do hypnosis and hypnotherapy and do the whole thing. I used to have the recliner thing and everything, and all that, and go deeper and go deeper. That's one of the main hypnosis techniques. And just go deeper. Like, there's so many things. When I go through hypnosis to this day, I laugh. I'm like, oh yeah, they're using that technique now. They're using that one. Like, just so much fun. Anyway, but like what I've learned like over the years is that uh I don't really use hypnosis ever anymore. I mean, and I could see that still I could, and maybe it would be helpful. Maybe I'm missing out here and there, but I just because I really think there's so much we can do. Like, well, I do energy work and all this other stuff now, but I really feel like we can even just through coaching. A lot of times we can transform people just by saying certain things that are those hypnotic suggestions in conversation. We don't all need to go down into the lower brainwave states to be able to get there, right? Get into theta or delta and all this stuff. We don't need that. And people are open and suggestible enough sometimes when they build a rapport with somebody in a coaching relationship, for example, you ask a question that just totally just like unravels everything. I mean, for me, even like certain mantras or phrases do that. Like one of them I got from a spiritual teacher was, and now how much less of you is required, for example. Like
Mm.
how much less of you is required. Actually, it is a question, never mind. Okay, so that was a question one, like how much less of you is required. And I use it with my clients all the time. They're all like, I love that one, right? Because we all think there's so much to required of us, and yet, what, well, how much less, and how much more effective we can be. Like, so that there's so many words. I remember seeing a therapist once, and he said, I told him I was having the sleeping thing, and then I get out of bed and I go sleep on the couch because I figure it's easier to sleep there than next to my wife, and like it's less energy or whatever. And all he said that helped at the time, and I've had on and off issues with stuff like that. He just said, I don't think this is serving you. And that just like went right in my subconscious mind and immediately solved the problem. Like I just literally just like took care of it. Like, oh, that isn't serving me, so let's stop it. I
Mm.
didn't need a hypnosis session for that. All I needed is the suggestion at the right moment, right time for the right person. Boom, shifted me. So I love anything else you would want to share on that, because I think we undervalue the power of suggestions and questions, and we think it's got to be deep energy healing all the time, even though I do some of those things, but like, or we have to have the hypnosis, we have to, I mean, any of those things can be helpful and great, but tell us more about how maybe that isn't as needed sometimes as people may believe. Like we need to look at more past lives and more dirty laundry. Or I'm like, yeah. So tell us your perspective on that.
Yeah, no, I think this is like getting to the heart of what is so powerful about coaching. And from my experience, this question that was asked. So I was really in this quandary. I did, to end a marriage is a big deal. I had two young kids, and I knew, I mean, I'd woken up literally in the middle of the night and was like, I just my higher self, whatever you want to call it, woke me up, and it was just this resounding, something just doesn't feel right here. And it wasn't, he's not a bad person, I'm not a bad person. I knew this at a deep level. And this coach that it was so transformative. He said, Julie, because I was like, I don't know what to do. And he said, if you knew your life was going to be beautiful, outstanding, exceptional, wonderful, no matter what you chose, what would you choose? So that question, it's a very simple question. But what he's doing, and we talk about this in coaching, is, those polarities. It's like having he balanced it where no matter what I chose, life was gonna be okay, and it, like, literally in an instant calmed my nervous system. It also got me in tune with my intuition, and I knew immediately in my body, it was a no question. I was like, "Oh, I wouldn't stay married." And he said, "Okay, well, how do you wanna do that? You can create that in a really powerful way." And I said, "I want to do that in the most kind, gracious way I know how." So literally, that was what I was standing for. That's what I was that was my intention is, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And it was funny, it was 9 months later, it's like birthing a baby. I ended up coaching in this leadership program with him. But that question, so, you could look at it as suggestions, right? Or auto suggestions. What the reason I think having, you were trained as a therapist, but I think having, some sort of training is the integrity of this work. The way that I was taught and teach it is we look at each person. Every human being is the expert of their life. I am not the expert. I will never be the expert of you, Daniel. I'm certainly an expert in listening and asking questions and trusting my intuition. A lot of what I teach is how to honor your intuition, how to know your intuition versus fear or other, aspects of you, because using your intuition is important. Like the therapist said to you, I don't think that serves you. Um, I might say as a coach, I'm curious. I wonder if that's serving you. Like I would ask it that way. You get to decide, does that resonate? Does that not?
Mhm.
That's the power though, right? Reflecting it, like he said, asking a question, those, when you know how to do that from a life-giving, generative, appreciative, making the other person empowered and expert of their life, it's miraculous. I mean, and I love, and I read daily A Course in Miracles. They talk about, a miracle defined at least from ACIM, is a shift in perspective and perception. Questions like that, statements like that, literally shift your perspective and your perception instantaneously. So you want to experience more miracles, more healing. This is one of the most powerful, like quickest routes to do that. It just is. I'm all for acupuncture and Reiki and other healings and past. I mean, I love that. I do. And I think there's a place for it. There's just something about this modality using, obviously we're using words, we're using presence, we're using, going deeper, intuition. And really, frankly, I go into people, I teach and I go into people's energy, and I literally, it's like, I'm going to be your, not a cheerleader, but your biggest advocate. And we are going to create whatever it is that's in your sphere, your energy, your vortex, your heart. Like, that's how I see it. I usually joke, I feel like a doula, like we're birthing, whatever it is you want to birth. But absolutely, that shift can happen instantaneously, and that's what I experienced. It was like this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never even looked at it that way. I felt so a very well-trained coach or therapist who has a training in this. I've had a therapist, a really well-known psychotherapist who did my training. I mean, and sometimes it's like look, if you don't have any of this kind of training, it's really important. Do not go into somebody's energy field or their life without knowing what you're doing. I think that is irresponsible. I just do,
Mhm.
personally.
Yeah. Yeah, you should have some bearing or some sort of training, and
Yeah.
yeah, and hopefully continue to get to the training. For me, I've always just followed my intuition on, do I need more specific sorts of training, because there's tons of trainings, right? I could be in a training every day for the rest of my life, like in courses and everything else. And we all know about people who've been in like 20 different certifications, right? And they're like, yeah, I think I need another one though, because I'm still not confident. I have a client who did grow her business and working with me with the intuitive business coaching and everything. And but then, as we wrapped up, like one of the things she ended up saying is like, yeah, but I'm still not confident in my own modality, so I'm going to need to practice more. And I just had to remind. I says, listen, you're never going to feel completely confident. You never will. Even you, Julie, I bet you have moments of insecurity. Like everybody has a moment of insecurity. Everybody, for me, sometimes it's even more when the coaching is good. Like I'm like, man, we've got a big session coming up. I'm nervous as hell with this session coming up because I know it's going to be so potent. And you could interpret that no confidence. Oh man, I must not be confident. I'm so anxious about this upcoming session I'm doing with my client. But it's really like excitement, and yeah, I am nervous, but like I'm like, whoa, there's a lot of hand here, and there's going to be a lot of shift, and there's going to be a lot of expansion and growth, and all this stuff. But people looking to, I'm finally will have the confidence, like like that's not the key. Like you have to just keep showing up, and if you are guided to get more quality help, the highest level help, that's the key. Like people would get my certifications when I was doing certifications on energy scanning, because they're like, first of all, I don't know how to do that. Second of all, they found it to be a very direct method to helping people. Like I could just tune right into them and find out what's going on. Of course, they have to resonate and all that stuff, but it's like it usually always does, right? Like I see it, okay. Oh yeah, that resonates, right? Let's work on that. So taking to higher level, coaching or opportunities to understand how to ask the best questions, hold presence, are all the things. So, but what are the top keys to being of a beneficial presence as a coach? Like for the people that are already coaches, which a lot of people listening are, a lot of people are helping people already, and not everybody listening, but a lot of them are. So, what is the key to really, coaching yourself? I mean, maybe it's two separate conversations, but coaching yourself at a higher level, and also, giving coaching at a higher level. And of course, we all should get coaching as often as again possible. I still say that's everything's intuition for me. If I feel like it's not time to be coached, it's not time to be coached. But back to my question: how do we take
Yeah.
the coaching to a higher level than like what is typically taught with all your studies with coaching?
Yeah, I think the secret is it's the level of awareness and presence you have with yourself and making that your number one job and your priority. So having a practice where you go inside, where you have, whether it's meditation or yoga or some kind of mindfulness practice, connecting to your intuition. I can tell you, I was always intuitive, and in the last 10 years, it's at a different level today. And, this is one of the gifts, and I'm just gonna say to all my, like, soul sister and brother coaches, like, sending extra love to you because 'cause you're doing awesome work. I actually believe we don't have enough coaches yet in the world. I mean, look at what's happening. I don't think we have enough of people like ourselves or those that are thinking about it, who are a stand for humanity, a stand for human being 3.0, right? Not going and living from fear and not enoughness, scarcity, and ego, but want to live from heart and giving and oneness and unity. So to be able to be a stand for that, to hold space like that, to know how to have those sessions that are really going to be transformative, I believe those are going to be as powerful as the presence you hold with yourself. So the first thing I do with my students and also when I'm at Georgetown is we go right into every class. We go into grounding, different practices, and I say, "What are you doing right now? Get your calendar out. You like this is important. What are you willing to commit to?"
Mhm.
Which is a great question. What are you willing to commit to make your sacred practice? It could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be walking in nature, it could be, five deep breath. I don't care as long as you have something daily that has you connecting inward. I mean, in the end, I was kind of, you were saying with following your intuition, I don't feel nervous much at this point that often because not only because I've done it a lot, but honestly, part of what I'm doing is I'm allowing the divine to move through me. I'm using my intuition, the practice I have. The more you do this work, first of all, the more of a developed intuition you're going to have, and the more ability you're going to have to really feel and sense people, not just what they're saying, but what they're not saying, their presence, their energy, their emotions, their mental body. I mean, it's really cool. It's almost like it's an energy practice in its own. I just don't think it's usually talked about in that way. I've certainly noticed it's made me way more in tune with my body, my mental and emotional health, myself, and with others, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I love that. It all starts with those practices. I mean, even just my client yesterday I was talking to, like, okay, I don't know why I'm not motivated. And I'm like, well, are you meditating? Are you doing the things that fuel you? Oh, yeah, I guess not. I'm like, okay, there you go. I mean, we may as well end the session right now until you start doing some of these more foundational things. You're not going to see the big shifts that you're looking for. You know that serves you, and so the coaching, can be more about, well, why are you making those choices, of course, but it's like we have to have that foundation. That's so true. Because once we have that foundation, a lot of things become just simplified. I mean, for me, like meditation is medication for me. Like I don't meditate, forget about it. I really believe I would be classified like currently as a mental health diagnosis right now if I didn't meditate. It'd be like, yeah, you're like major anxiety or something like that, or who
Yeah.
knows, maybe depressed too. And I would not be. I mean, in the fastest way to, if you're, most people probably aren't meditating regularly. Quite frankly, is what I find out. I'm like, you're missing out. But if you are, and if you don't know if it's really working, just try taking it out for a while, see what happens. You'll find out we forget like some of these practices, right? Like rituals that we do too, like whatever it is that feeds you to keep your vibration higher, man, it is foundational. And absolutely, I love that you started with that. So that's one thing, right? Is those keys, get in your calendar, get those habits, those rituals going. Then what would be like some of the next level of, like, even for people's own like evolution, things you always ask your coaching clients to do to help them go to a higher level in their life?
Yeah, I mean, I think every person and every client is distinct and unique and different. I think that I mean, there's a definite structure to a coaching session. That's what I teach actually. Like, how do you start it? What's the middle? What's the ending? I love to ask things like, you know, I'm trying to think of a good example. I think a lot of what comes up is often what I see in my clients is a lack of self-love,
Mm,
right? So often I'm looking at, because I've done this in my own life too, not surprising, we often attract, right, what's going on with ourselves. If you did fully accept yourself, what would that make possible? If you were to take the most loving action, not what you think you have to do, what would that look like? What would that be? I do a lot of slowing down. I'll ask them, can we take a moment and go into your heart? And I will guide them into a heart coherence practice. It's called heart lock-in. And I want to know what's going on within them, what's in their intuition, their heart intelligence, which is a thing. And so often I will ask if if there's an impasse, they're not sure the answer. It's like, okay, are you willing to just pause and go within? And I guide them. And what comes out, I mean, one of my most favorite clients I worked with, I mean, she, through doing that, ended up coming up with a book that ended up being a best-selling book that came through from this. She also had a major, major healing experience with her father who had passed away. I didn't know that was going to come up, but it's not up for me to know what is on her heart and is in part of her, her soul's purpose, but it is up to me to help to get it. So I think of it like treasure. Like there's a treasure box in everybody. And a
mhm,
coach is trained to really to extract, to find those jewels, to find the treasure. That's literally how I look at it. It's so funny because I'm very visual. I'm like,
mm,
oh, we got an amethyst. All right, we got a diamond. Like, hello, we all love diamonds. At least I love diamonds. So, it's this excavating, it's this ability to really, you're sifting, you're finding the 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 divine, breadcrumbs that live within each of us that are saying, I want to be expressed, because who wants to go, and have their last breath and have all of these treasures that were not even used? Like, to me, that would be such a travesty. And I will say, Daniel, for me, I think having a father, I love my father. He has struggled with PTSD. He's a Vietnam veteran. He has a lot of things related to, bipolar and depression and other issues that really affected him and affected his ability to really believe in himself. And I still see it to this day. And I think loving my dad more than life itself and seeing this and not understanding why he couldn't see his, how awesome he is, it was painful. And part of what I learned was I am not going to get to my 80s and say, oh, I wish I'd done this or I missed it. Like, I'm not going to do that. And I think that's why following your heart, your purpose, your greater soul's calling, to me, is one of the most sacred things that you can do. I really do see this work, when you look at it from that perspective, as sacred. I think of coaching, it's healing, it's sacred. It's helping to actualize your soul's greater reason to be here. So, all of that kind of comes under creating that sacred presence. And I think those questions, around self-love, around worthiness, those tend to come up. And I think the asking into, like, if I were to talk to you and really get into, like, I want to know what's happening at your heart level, not mine, but yours. And how are we going to actualize that? That to me is the most important thing. And I'm very good at holding that. And coaches that are trained, we're good at holding that because we believe in our clients, we believe in people, we believe in humanity. So that's one thing I always say. If you're kind of like, yeah, I don't really believe in humanity, evolving, you probably don't want to be a coach.
huh,
It's probably not the right place for you, because I think underneath it, it's believing that we can have higher consciousness, a more peaceful world. It starts with the individual, right? So being that change, it starts with ourselves. And I can tell you, for me, I really want to do my part, right, in shifting consciousness and heart coherence on this planet. It just feels like that's part of what I'm here to do. And I
mm,
believe, if for coaches, those that are listening that are coaches or thinking about it, I would imagine we have a similar connection there. And that's this kind of work. It does do that. I'm a walking example of it. I mean, trust me, if I had not had that experience, I would have had a very different life. I wouldn't even be on the show. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have had a coaching business. So it was one of the most powerful things that I ever experienced other than childbirth. Very
Wow.
different.
Yeah. Can't speak to that one. The child.
Right. Daniel's like, I'm going to peace out on that.
Although I will say it's them coming into the world is whoa, it's the best thing ever. So
Yeah.
so I can totally relate to. Um okay, well, as far as the self-love, another way I like to look at it too is the compassion for ourselves, because
Yeah.
I have a vicious inner critic. Now it's not always like 24/7, like, like going crazy at all, but it can be very tough, very even vicious at times, and be like, you know, it's probably not as bad, not as vicious as it used to be, I guess, but it's gonna be very tough. Let's put it that way. Could have done that better. That should have been up to speed more, or whatever, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, there's such breath and healing when we can just have compassion for ourselves, and um, that is one of the centerpieces of your coaching is huge because I always think about the power versus force that everybody talks about, and David Hawkins and his book and his scale and all that stuff. And once you get to love and above, you're good. As my friend Christy Marie Sheldon would always talk about. She was one of the people as a coach anyway that talked about it the most in the early days, it seemed like. And but yeah, that higher vibration, getting out of the shame and the all that, those lower vibes, and getting to love and above, up to joy, bliss, whatever, all the different labels they put in there, these different frequencies. But we it starts with having definitely with a heart coherence. But what is heart coherence exactly? Let's talk about that, because I know that's one of the hallmarks of your work as well. So tell us more. What people have heard of it, people may know what it is, but for people that are rusty like me maybe and others, like what exactly really is heart coherence?
Yeah. So, and I would recommend anything by the Heart Math Institute. They are amazing organization, like 30 plus years of incredible research. So our hearts have something like 40,000 sensory neurites. That's incredible. It's actually we don't most people don't realize it. That's like it's like a second brain. And what research has shown is that information from the field actually comes into our heart first and then moves to the brain, to our gut, to other sensory areas. And then so that whole feeling like trust your heart, that whole those sayings, trust your heart, follow your heart. There's something really to it. There's science behind that. Heart rate. So heart coherence has to do with your heart rate variability called HRV. So if anyone's ever seen like those little clips you can wear and it measures, you can put on your ear, you can put on your finger, and it measures your heart rate variability. So your HRV can give you a sense of how much you're in coherence or not, which is basically measuring we want shifts in our heartbeat, right? We think like, oh no, it's like going up and then it's going all over the place. You actually want that ability for it to be um resilient. And so if you are stressed, and I can say this from experience, I worked with somebody for almost 6 months on this. I thought I'm meditating, like I should have great HRV, a great coherence. Well, I did not. I
Mm.
was I'm high empath, and I was ricocheting from all the energy around the pandemic. There's a lot of fear going on, and I was feeling really unsteady. And so what we saw was even though so it measures as you're breathing your heart rate. And it's so cool because it can show you, and there's a certain amount that you breathe in and you breathe out. It can show you if there's that greater resilience in your heart rate variability or if there's not. And what science has shown is that when you have that greater differentiation, when you have higher coherence, you have less stress, you live longer, you age less, you feel joyful, all of those like yummy, love and above feelings. You actually can put yourself into that state through heart rate coherence. many people in our country that are overwhelmed, taxed, exhausted, stressed probably would have a low coherence, their heart rate variability would probably not vary so much. So coherence is really important. When we're in coherence, I mean, can think about it this way. It's kind of like, I don't know if this is going to make sense, but for women, we're connected to the moon, and you see that with with menstrual cycles. There's this natural ebb and flow. When you're out of coherence, it's kind of like being out of that flow. You've lost that connection, and it just we're meant to be in our heart. We're meant to be open hearted and in that space of compassion and love and care. Our society has not really set us up for that for the most part, although that's changing. It's part of what we're doing. But you can actually get a sense of that coherence. There's that device. There's a device through HeartMath, the HeartMath Institute. And it's called, I'm forgetting the name, but you can clip it on your ear. I've used it many, many times for a long time. And you can actually do a 5-minute session and you can see where you are with your coherence. And the beautiful thing like neuroplasticity is you can increase your coherence as you learn. You have to slow down your breath. So again, you bring in that breathing, your breath and your breathing is super connected to this as well. But what studies have shown is that when there's higher coherence at a global level or in a group level, and I remember when I was actually at a HeartMath conference in Tulum, Mexico, this was so cool. There's actually a shift in the energy around you. You can create, like, if enough of us were in heart coherence, we could probably do some amazing positive changes on this planet. I'll leave it that way. Trees, for example, they can measure the coherence, are always in high coherence. Nature has that high frequency coherence. Obviously, they don't have a heart, but you can still measure the energy. But for heart coherence, you can shift that. And I think it's called the Inner Balance. That's the name of the device and the app. If anyone's interested in getting that and trying it, it's amazing, and you can change it over time. I have totally raised my heart coherence, and my heart rate variability through practicing the breathing.
Wow, breathing is a big key, it sounds like, in part.
Yeah.
So, wow, because the channelings I've done, always talked about the heart space, all the Jesus and all the rest that come through. It's all about the heart space, so much so that at times, the message would come through, you guys all think the brain and the thinking in your head's where it's at. The more come into your heart, it shows the way for everything. And I feel like that's what you're saying is like once you get coherent with your heart, you give more attention to your breath, and you're in these practices that your intuition and your alignment and your well-being and everything get turned on, right? And then synchrodestiny and everything opens up for us, right? I mean, so give us an
Exactly.
example of some of the things you've seen for individuals and maybe even some of the groups you've had together. What, like, you guys are just, I mean, probably so many you can't even tell us about all of them at all, but
Yeah.
like tell us like one or two that really like got your attention. Oh my God, we took the heart coherence up higher, and all of a sudden this is what started happening for people.
I have a client, this wasn't in my, coaching academy, but actually I met with her last night. This has been extraordinary. So I started with her, a little over a year and a half, last June. Um, and she was really struggling. Single mom, ex-husband that was challenging, living with her parents, really, really, really wanted to find a significant other, wanted to find someone that was her person, wanted to shift like the way she was feeling about herself and her friend, like just was agitated and felt like frustrated. And so we started working together for her. She actually, not just the breathing, she also, in addition to doing heart coherent breathing, she started journaling to source, to the divine. And so very similarly, when we when we plug ourselves into the creator, which is not human and is a completely, it lives in beyond love. Like, I don't even have the words obviously for it, but love would be probably the best word. Love and that heart energy. she has literally, through the breathing, her coherence, and her connecting every night and writing in, connecting, and for her writing and connecting that way and sharing what she was grateful for and what she envisioned. We just talked last night. She's asked me to her wedding, asked if I would lead one of the prayer services. And this is like a little over a year and a couple months. And she has just completely manifested a whole new life. I mean, it's amazing. We talk about it all the time. And so in our meeting together, I was like, wow, like, do you realize like what you, and she's like, you did this. I'm like, no, 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 no. I did not do that. Yes, we worked together, but you shifted yourself. You
Mhm.
shifted your heart coherence, your energy, your vibration, and look what you've created. So I have a lot of stories like that. That's just one, but that's a pretty cool one because they
Mhm.
just got engaged about a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never used the dating app. So I'm like, wait, so you can shut down all of those different, like I was like Bumble or Tumble, or I don't know what they're called. She's like, oh my God, Julie, you're so out of it. But she was like, yeah, I shut them all down. I don't need any of those anymore. So we were laughing about that. But this is the thing, like she got into her own, that coherence and that space of connection, of allowing, of high vibration. It doesn't mean that she didn't have tough moments and sadness and anger. That's not what we're saying. Because I think, we're not talking about toxic positivity where you ignore your feelings. But
Mhm.
when you start shifting in, this, right, more into that alignment where Abraham Hicks or David Hawkins, they show, you get past that hopeful stage and you start
Mhm.
going into joy, into expectancy and empowerment and love. I mean, watch how the universe matches you. So this was so cool with her. I've seen this, the other client who now has a best-selling book. I've had clients who've had healings in their body. I mean, it goes on. And then of course in my course, I've seen just people coming out of it like they're just different than when they started. They're on fire about this work and attracting people to help and serve. And I'm like, that's the point of it. So yeah, hopefully that gives a sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great example, I want to say, of what's possible right there. And just realizing, yes, from the center of our being, which is embodied in our energy body, perhaps, just say perhaps, because who knows anything, but in our heart, we can become a magnet for that which our soul really is deeply desiring, seeking, wanting to have union with. So we get into that sacred divine union, and the rest is added on to us and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
doesn't get any better than that. You don't have to keep trying to figure your life out. You get to let it happen because you're in heart coherence, and that's so beautiful. It's so amazing. And so yeah, I have a million more questions to talk to you about, but I just really want people to understand like what's possible, and even if they just take more time to connect with their heart and to use tools, that they could learn on their own, that's going to be a huge big step in starting to shift their life. And then of course there's a whole next level of like really immersing themselves in what you teach and what you have to share. For example, I do know you have a couple of things to share with people today. First of all, you have free something for free for everybody to start to deepen their practices. So do you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, I'll just, if anyone's watching, this is not very fancy here, but I'll show you. It is pretty awesome. It's 25-page tool set to design your best life. And I have some of my favorite practices in here that I've used with clients, that I use in my coaching academy. There's 7 of them, one for each day of the week, and they will help you to build your intuition, to feel more calm, more confident, and to start being more of an observer of yourself and feeling less like you're stuck in those stories. So there's even a audio meditation embedded in there, and I have that tool set. It's free, and I've gotten some beautiful feedback on it. So I'm happy to gift that to anyone who's interested.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we definitely have the link in the show notes for that, and people can take advantage of that. And how can you get any better than that? How to design your best life ever. I mean,
Yeah.
how can you go wrong by spending a little bit of time? Just to go through it probably doesn't take too long, right? block out how a half hour maybe at the most?
Yeah, it's designed for busy, high
Yeah.
achiever individuals. So it's a little like bite a day. It's like
Oh, okay.
uh
Well, even
little
better.
a little bite a day. You can take it and go all out with it, but it's certainly, the idea is to give 7 different. I mean, one of it looks at your time and your energy. How are you spending your time? Does it match your values? If it
Mhm.
doesn't, you're going to feel depleted energetically. So there's a tracking to see, so it's that kind of thing. It's fun. I've heard that it's actually very user friendly. I tried to design it that way.
Oh, nice. Great. All right, wonderful. Get this is from somebody that's a award-winning coach, basically a top coach in the field. So you definitely want to take advantage of that to take yourself to the next level. I definitely will be taking a look at it myself because you never know. You never know what can shift no matter what. I mean, the groups and stuff. Who knows? Extra tip, an extra process, an extra this may shift everything, right? So I'm definitely gonna check that out. And then you also have the opportunity for people, if they're interested today, to take a look at your program that you have for people to become coaches, because there isn't anything that'll take you to a higher level than actually becoming the coach. No, really believe this. I feel like some of us, if we don't actually become the teacher, we're going to get like a tenth or less of what's possible for us, even if we do all the work for ourselves. Like I'm doing it all the time. I feel like I'm constantly doing my personal development or whatever people call it, right? Spiritual stuff, whatever. But if you're not teaching it, you always be at a lower level, in my opinion. So I don't know if you agree with that, but so this gives people opportunity to do that from someone like yourself who's been, voted in as a top coach in 2023, basically, or influential, whatever, top one. And with your background and masters in coaching, et cetera, and all your years of experience. So you have this signature program, life designer coach program. So why don't you tell them about it?
Yeah, it's something I'm really proud of and I think is quite an extraordinary opportunity. It's the Life Designer Coach Academy. It's a certification program. I've had students from all over the world. And one of the things I think that makes it different and unique, number one, I'm coming and I teach it. It's live, virtual, and it's also, you have lifetime access. You have all the modules. I teach the sacred coach approach, my framework that I have created that brings in a holistic standpoint. One of the things I love about it is, in addition to having videos and guidebooks and all of that kind of learning, there's a lot of focus on practicing. So there's a practicum. You practice in class. You're going to get pro bono clients. You're assigned a mentor coach. You're going to become confident in really learning how to hold space, how to help somebody move through being stuck to literally shifting their life, like what I explained happened with me. You're very supported. The focus is on one-on-one coaching, but I also do teach group coaching, which if there's anyone who wants to lead retreats or groups or masterminds, or we've had a lot of corporate leaders come in and take this because it's helped them to be a better manager, a better leader, a better parent, a better, whatever aspect of yourself. What I've said, Daniel, is it's as much a personal transformation and growth program as it is a coach certification program. You will definitely be doing some incredibly powerful inner work. You cannot come out the same person. We've had just about 100 people that have gone through this now, and I can tell you right now, like every single person has talked about this is like your ability to listen to yourself, to others, to have that sacred mindfulness and presence. um it's next level. The other piece is your intuition. It will not be the same as when you started, in the best of ways. So I focus a lot on the heart coherence, on intuition, on energy, other healing practices, mind body science, bring in appreciative inquiry, positive psychology. And then of course the competencies of coaching. You are steeped in that. So it's really applicable whether you think you want to be a coach as, part-time, full-time, a little time, dabble in it, or it's, we have right now a woman who is in a high-level gaming tech business and she's doing it because she wants to be better at knowing how to listen and encourage and motivate her team.
Mhm.
So it's not always, I'm going to go be a coach now. She's using it
Right.
in that way. And I've had many others who've come from corporate, lawyers, physicians, therapists. It's just, you have to be someone who believes in humanity, in the potentiality, in the fact that we all have that, that those gifts to be unlocked. And you have to really, like to listen and want to help people. If you don't, then it's not for you. And that's fine too.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds perfect. And I know that it's also one of the things I love about it is that it's something that's not like a super high price point where nobody can get into it. Like,
No.
okay, I'm gonna have to mortgage a house on this one. Like it's not that, it's not out of the world type of situation. And so I really like that about it too. And that, the heart coherence for that alone, I think it's worth it because what, you can think about and do some practices and then fall off the wagon again and again on working on your energy and stuff. When you're in a group and you're in a container and you have somebody guiding you, on raising your vibration and then also an expert at it and with heart coherence, like that's another story. And then you may as well get that, the higher level attunement where you become a magnet for what you want rather than, having a secret it in your life. It's a secret. Yeah, it's still a secret to too many people. Like, how does it actually, even if you study it 100 times, like it's still a secret to you. How does this thing work? Because you haven't actually done the part that matters the most, which is to get in the embodied state through the heart coherence or the higher vibration or all those things to allow it to happen. That's what I hear your program does on top of the high level coaching that you take people through and teach them to do for themselves, for others. And then when you're taking people up around you to another level like that, like it's a spiraling effect. The whole organization goes up with you, your whole team goes up with you, your whole family goes up with you, even if you don't do a ton of coaching with them, like just doing some, like also it starts spiraling everything up higher. So it can change your own individual life, it can change your family's life, it can change your company's life, it can change an organization, or so many things. It can help to start to change the world, and it is about the evolutions of mankind's consciousness at this time, which I'm telling you guys, oh well, let's wait on that. Hopefully it'll happen. We'll get there eventually. Guys, stop it. Stop this. Like, well, I always say, like, lately is my mantra with people that say they're gonna wait. I'm like, okay, blink your eyes. You're gonna be out of your body, you're gonna be out of this world, you're gonna be done. You're gonna be wondering, why didn't you take more advantage of the opportunities you had, period, whatever they are. So take advantage of these opportunities. you know, listen to your heart. That's all I ask you to do. Listen to your heart. Take advantage of these opportunities. And she teaches still to this day. She's, teaches at Georgetown. She's got a high level expertise. She's been involved with Tony Robbins and led teams there or groups there and all that sort of stuff. She's, very dedicated. She's couldn't work with a more magnificent human being. So I can't endorse, Julie and what she's going to bring you into enough. Humanity needs it now. So any last words, Julie, before we move on here in a moment? But I just guys, trust your heart, go for it now.
Oh, I love what you're saying. Yeah, our next cohort is in March 2024. I have a wait list. So if anyone's interested, you'll have the link. We will start, you can start to enroll as of January 1st. And it really is a first come, first serve. I keep them intimate for that specific reason that I like to have hands-on. You get a lot of attention and a lot of, our love and our expertise. I have mentor coaches I've trained. I would just say this, if you're leaning in, this is what the coach shared with me. It's what you said, trust your body, trust your intuition. That would be I don't usually give advice, but if I were to give any advice, it is whether it's this program or whatever the heck you're thinking of doing or being, just trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your gut. I promise you, there is no better GPS system in the world than our intuition. So that's what I would leave it on. And if you're leaning in, if you feel like it's a soul nudge, I really would love to connect with you, meet you. I'd love to have you. I really believe it attracts exactly who we're meant to have. So if you feel that, then it works, then I know you're meant to be there. And if not, blessings. And I'm sure whatever you're doing, just trust your intuition, whatever that is. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. All
Mhm.
right, so take advantage of this opportunity. You can go to there's a whole page. You're going to see endless testimonials in part. So it's proven, guys. Come on. I mean, I've known people that say, "Oh, my program gets results," and they've got a few testimonials. No, she's got tons of them, and you can tell she's the real deal. Click on the link in the show notes. Go check it out. Go take advantage of it if your heart asks you to take that step. And Julie, I also want to ask you, if people are like, I don't know, I can't find a link, I don't know where to go, and blah blah blah. What's another way for them to get in connection with you?
The easiest, best thing, I mean, my website, which is my name, it's juliereisler.com. Or, you can find my email on there. There's all the programs, everything I'm doing, all of the work. I'm also, on YouTube, which is just my name, and Instagram and any of those social media outlets. But typically the website, there's a contact us, come find me, send me an email. Well, introduce yourself. I love people. I really, I especially love individuals that are like, I am here to actualize my higher self. I want to do that. I'm committed to that. I just feel like we need to band together right now. So I hope to meet you.
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Very beautiful. All right, so as we're moving on, I just want to share with you. I don't know if you remember me saying this when we set this up, but I actually do a couple of tune-ins for my guests as we wrap up. You ready for a couple of quick downloads?
Yeah, go for it. Oh my gosh, totally.
All right, here we go. This is for all you guys too. There's gonna be some yummy in there for you. Yeah, I mean, this is not derogatory. Take this in a high regard. Okay. So you come across for me when I tune in at this level, this fun level of your being, like you're kind of like the person at the hair salon doing somebody's hair or nails and all that stuff. You're just like, as they're talking, you're like, yeah, well, it sounds like, if you do this and you do that, that would work better. And I don't know, what are you getting? Should you do? And it's like, so you're just so natural as and organic is just, I guess what I'm saying. Like, it's just natural, organic. And people are just like, wow, like, wow, I wasn't like, it's even my vibe is that when people, you're not a hyper, people will walk away from your work feeling like it was even more powerful than they realize. I bet it's a consistent comment you get. It's what I feel right now. I get it very clearly. And you are very oracle like too. You may not always tell people what to do or tell them everything you see, because I see that too, but you're like, yeah, see it coming. If you just listen to these nudges I'm pointing you to, and it's gonna happen. And that's what I see with you. It's fun. And but yeah, I could see like people that they probably prophesy or whatever, proselytize almost, like talk up you like way more than you ever would, even though you know what I mean. So it's beyond what they expect. So we'll get back to that in a second. Let me give you one more quick download before we wrap up. Well, maybe it's past life. Like, yeah, you've been doing work for a long time. Like, I see you like looking at people's palms and stuff, looking at the lines. This feels past life-ish. And it just yeah, it just get this, yeah, you're really dedicated to bringing people together, um and really, yeah, to wake it up to the heart of humanity. And I just see people like coming out of their caves, even like just like from everywhere, just pouring in to into the awakened heart. And you're like, you're somewhere in the center of that leadership, helping with that. And you're just like, yeah, come everybody, come out of your corners. And you're just, and you're just cheering everybody on. And it's drawing people. It's like magnetizing people, the heart space. And then you're a leader for that. And you're standing for that. They're just showing me that image right now. And I'll just leave it at that for today. But yeah, any quick comments, especially on the first thing I said, because that seems so clear to me that people are like, whoa, this is even more than I expected.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, so my dear friend who's worked with me and did the coaching with me was like, "Do you understand how people feel about you in the program and that you over deliver?" And it's funny. It just, I really mean this. Like, I feel like it's being channeled through me. And what you said about the, like, come out of your cave, come out of here. That is it just, it really resonates. That's really what I feel I'm here doing, and doing it with myself too. Like, it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't, like, it, we can actually live in a whole different way that allows divine presence to guide everything. And that is a whole different thing. So that, what you said, I've had images of myself. And I do have a very strong, clear, cognizant, but also that, visionary, the
Yeah, yeah.
seeing. Yeah.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Right on. Good job. Yeah.
Thanks. So everybody, just real quick, if you want to check me out, as I always say, go to yoursacredpurpose.com. I do energy scan consultations, downloads like this to help guide your path. You can take advantage of that with the Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan consultation. So if you go to yoursacredpurpose.com, you'll find that there. I also have a free meditate, make money meditation. It helps you get downloads of like really what wants to happen from the coherence, from the deeper energy, as you are guided and you listen to your guides. And people tell me there's all kinds of encoding in there. And I'm like, that's cool. Yeah, whatever it is, it just channels through me when I do the work. So check all that out. Do it the easy way. Meditate, make money, right? Go to yoursacredpurpose.com. All right. Well, I want to thank you, Julie, for being on the show today. I'm so grateful for the heart space that you are, and that you're bringing forth for everybody, and all the amazing things you share with us today.
Thank you so, so much, Daniel. I so appreciate your gracious heart. And I'll say thank you to all of the beautiful listeners that are here. I'm really grateful. I hope this was impactful. And thank you for having me.
Sure thing. All right, everybody, keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time. The Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.